Right, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you for the welcome back. So this morning we went about and we talked about lead generation, and it's maybe a new concept to you guys. And I wanted to spend a lot of time really to explain this concept, because there was really a before and after moment for me when I realized that, and that there is actually a cost of finding deals, and sadly a cost of not finding deals. So you could run around in circles, like sending letters and not really getting anywhere. So once you connect with the cost of actually finding deals, and you connect with the value of your time and you respect your time, all of a sudden you take better decisions. And it's based on this shock to the system I had a few years ago that we created Property Filter for ourselves. And it was a true before and after for me. When the before Property Filter and then after when we created Property Filter, the traction I got helped me get full-time in property very quickly, following the blueprint I shared with you this morning. I wanted to go into more details on the software to show you more about the lead generation. I ran out of time because I was happy to share other things. So what I'll do just now, so we'll take some questions, and then I'll go into the content of this next section around converting all these good leads into great deals. And then as we move into the demo from Property Filter, I'll go back to the lead generation bit. I'll show you how you can set things up for different strategy and really in a lot of details. And then we'll move on the follow-up system, the pipeline, or you convert all these good leads into great deals, and then all the other things we have in Property Filter that can help you really excel at finding deals, build a six-figure sourcing business, or empower you to build the portfolio you want and achieve your goals in property. So back to Andy, you have some questions for us to go through?
We do, Guillaume. Yeah, so our very first question coming from Vladimir. And Vladimir is saying there's other softwares out on the marketplace, whether they be deal sourcing or indeed they might be data sourcing type softwares. How does Property Filter compare to those?
Yeah, so very, very simply. So Property Filter is where all the deals are, and the data is available, so it's not very difficult to put some of the data together, but it's all about the results. So we've not only agglomerated the best database around, but we don't just show you the data and it's for you to figure out what to do with it. Everything, and you'll see as I go into more depth here, everything here is built as a blueprint. It's all actionable things. So it's what do we need to focus on next, the handful of action we need to focus on next to convert all these good leads into great deals. And it's why it's the most loved platform out there for finding deals, because we've got the most case studies of success than anybody else. And we've just been running for a bit more than a year. And this is where the deals are. This is where serious property investors, serious sourcers come to find deals and get results in property. And it's really high in our value. And we are here behind you in your corner, all about getting you finding deals. And just to one of the aspects, like when you think of a software, you might sign up to one software, and then the status quo, if you like, for a competitor will be they'll offer one webinar a month or something like that to answer your questions and things like that. Well, the support you get on Property Filter is unmatched by, by a factor of 1,000. So you can speak to a human every day. So you've got orientation calls you can book on today, you can book on tomorrow. You can speak to someone. You speak to me every week. We've just started a Facebook group where you can come interact with one another. And it's the home of high performance. So very simply put, how does this compare to anything else? It's where all the deals are. It's where people come and get results, because it's built as a methodology, as a blueprint, and it's not like not to name any other data software, property related, which has been described to me as the best place to go and procrastinate. Property Filter is where you come to get deals, is where you come to get results.
Thank you, Guillaume. Andrew's asking a question about the cash buyers only. Why is that a good lead source?
So basically, in property, you want to observe the masses and do the opposite. And most investors out there, they look for cosmetic refurbs. There is a market where everybody is, price range where they want to do a bit of a cosmetic refurb, but you can't, it's a crowded space. With cash buyers, you can do lease options, you can solve bigger problems. And the bigger problem you solve, the bigger your expertise in property, the more equity you create for yourself and the better the deals. So cash buyer is one of many type of problem properties you can find. And with the expertise you can find, learning from Andy and Simon, if you go on the Mastermind Accelerator and things like that, you'll have the expertise to know and solve those advanced problems. And this is where you create the value. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. And the thing is, when it's easy, everybody does do it. So you want to observe the masses and do the opposite and go where you can add the most value. So that's one example, but it applies to many things, like short leases and other things like that.
Thank you, Guillaume. We've got a live question from Neil McGrain in just a few moments. First of all, June's question is, you've got due diligence on your property filter. We may be going on to talk about this in the next section, Guillaume, but just give us an overview as to what due diligence is happening inside a property filter.
Yeah, that's right. So there's two aspects to this. And the first one is in our pipeline section I will share with you. The first step of the pipeline is what we call do due diligence. And by this, we don't mean fall in analysis paralysis, try to make this one deal work, etc. But they ascertain very quickly if this is going to be a deal or not. So I'll cover that. But then we do have a tile around due diligence, and it's where you can leverage a lot of the automations. So when we think of the due diligence we'll do when we buy or source a deal, first thing you want to do is you want to find the full address. Then from the full address, you want to confirm the EPC. Then from this, you want to confirm who owns the property, what is the lease length on the property. All these things are automated and done for you. So it's just a placeholder somewhere where a lot of the automation of the due diligence is done for you, and you can add more things there. Part of it will be looking at comparables and things like that. So there's multiple ways of looking at due diligence as a step in your process of converting a deal into great deals, and as more of an activity, you need to do like before you present a deal to an investor or you buy for yourself. But you've heard the phrase before, always do your due diligence. Like you don't want to buy a lemon, so this is what's there, a placeholder for you to do this activity, and a lot of it is automated for you, so you don't need to spend a lot of time yourself doing it yourself, and then limiting the amount of deals you can look at in the same time, and you don't have to pay for teams of VAs and people you need to train to do this for you. A lot of it is automated.
Thank you, Guillaume. Let's go over to Neil then. Neil McGain's got a live question for us. Hello, Neil.
Hey, Neil.
Hi, Andy. Hi, Guillaume. Quick question. I may have misunderstood, but this morning when you talked about sold subject to contract greater than 90 days, you got the address and you kind of rattled off a letter that you might
Yep.
write. Maybe I misunderstood, but did you say that the vendor wouldn't have to pay the estate agent's fees?
So I said so basically in letter copies, you want to find a hook. You want to speak to the vendor's pane where they are right now. And all you want is instigate them to call you. And I've got 3 hooks in this particular copy. So I'll go through it again. So congratulations for the sale of your property. We hope that everything goes well. So it's just like you want to be warm and familiar with them quite quickly. We are desperate to buy properties on your street. If something were to happen with your buyer, because it's never going to be their fault, like just in the copy and the way the sentence is made, we blame it on something, on someone they already blame it. So you create some communality already. So congratulations for the sale of your property. We hope that everything goes well. If something were to happen with your buyer, we are desperate to buy properties on your street. So we convey that we are motivated to buy their properties because we want them to call us. And the way we underline this is by talking about the 3 pains we have right now. So one is we buy properties at market value, and market value is a clever term to use because market value is whatever you pay for it. So it's a good hook because you think like, oh, I'm going to get asking price. But you don't say we buy at asking price. We don't buy properties at any price. We buy at market value, and market value is whatever you pay for it. They are fed up with the agent because it's the agent's fault that they recommended the wrong buyer in the first place. So we can blame it on the agent a little bit here when we say we can save you agent fees. And I'm not saying we will because we want to play the long game. But if the agent is not performing, and then if the vendor wants to speak to you directly, you're not going to call the agent to say, hey, I'm speaking with your vendor here. Do you want to jump in? Like if it's been a long time. So a lot of the properties I bought followed this exact thing here where. So the first deal I bought with Property Filter, so it was on for 250. It was on with 3 different agents over time. It was reduced to 225, and then we ended up buying it direct to the vendor. We never spoke to an agent for 173, and now it's worth 450 as a 6-bed HMO in an Article 4 area. So it's really these principles where if they are fed up with the agent, if you go into the expense of going direct to vendor, with the letters, you want them to continue to speak with you. But you don't want to guarantee or force that we're not going to pay the agents, because they might still be, you don't know the contracts they have with the agent, and they might still be tied in. So
yeah, that was my thought. Yeah.
it's why we say we can save you agent fees. But when something is sold subject to contract for more than 90 days, so the usual lockdown kind of agreement a vendor has got with agents is usually 3 or 6 months, mainly 3 months. So if something has been on the market and then sold subject to contract for more than 90 days, it's very likely they are outside of their lockout agreement, period anyway.
Yeah.
But in the copy, we don't want to say, we don't aggressively go after the agent, because it doesn't serve any any purpose. So we say we can save you agent fees, and then the third underlying kind of item was, what was it? And we complete in your time scale. So these are all the 3 pains they have right now. Is they blame it on the vendor. They can't achieve. They want to achieve a good price. They blame it on the agent, and they want it done in a timely manner. And so that speaks to them exactly where they are right now. And then you can use this and mix it up with whatever the situation you find on Property Filter, like something where properties just. I'll talk to you. I'll share with you another one where you can go direct to vendor that works really well when the property's just been withdrawn from the market, and that's another one, and we can talk about another type of copy like that. Is that okay?
Brilliant. Thanks, Guillaume.
Yeah, awesome.
Great question. Thank you, Neil. I've got a question here from Felix. I don't quite understand your question, Felix. So I've sent you an invite to open your microphone to be able to explain exactly what your question is. Whilst you're doing that, let's go to Nidia's question, who's saying about Property Filter presumably is all about properties that are on the market. Is there a way to find off-market properties using Property Filter?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is off-market and there is direct to vendor, which are 2 different things. But what we just talked about with Neil just now, this is the prime example of going direct to vendor with something that has got a history of being on the market. So another things we can look at is, remember I told you about all those different, like what was it? It was so on all the properties that are on the market. So we've got 33 million properties, 1 million change hands every year, and then 230,000 are in investment properties. Another thing we can look at here is that on all those properties that sell here, if I take this tranche here of 1 million property that sell, 92% of it, 92% of those transactions, and that's Office National Statistics tells us, all of these happen through estate agents. So, or they've got a history where they've been on the market at some point. So we all want direct to vendor deals, but we all do direct to owner marketing. So we compete with the agents, we compete with the big traders, etc. So there's the low-hanging fruit, I'm telling you, are those that have got a history of have been on the market at some point. And if you're going to send a letter, if you want the best money from your letter, you want a best return on your money, basically on your letter, the time you put into your marketing, etc. You want to, the first port of call will be these that are sold subject to contracts since a long time. And then I'll show you just here after on those properties that are withdrawn, where a vendor withdrawn the property and they don't, you speak to the agent and they say they don't want to sell anymore. But then you've got the full address, you can send them letters and things like that. So it's another really high margin, if you think of return on investment on your marketing, that works really well for direct to vendor. Now with off market, so it's not currently on the platform available now, but we do this as a service on the side. We find problem properties from the data, and these are, so basically we build our own proprietary database for short lease properties. We've got all the lease lines for every leasehold properties in the UK. We've got things like the database of all the rented properties, so the landlord owned properties with low EPC, so that might be a burden for the landlord to update. We've got things like like all the lets, and working on things like like planning classes, so you can look for guest houses directly. So this is like a side service pending where we are building it into the platform. And one thing I would say, and then there's other things we're working on, so like unbroken freehold blocks of flats and different things like that. So we will add to the platform. And one thing I say is that when you sign up for Property Filter, you don't get a CD and that's it. We are aggressively adding to it all the time. So we've got the biggest, and the people like the people who are on it on the call now and already use it, they will know and confirm. We are adding to it all the time. We've got really high velocity in terms of adding features, and all these things that are now a service we can do on the side, we will add to the platform. So off market, direct to vendor. So I guarantee you, with those two examples, the sole subject contract since a long time we talked about with Neil, and the property that are withdrawn. So been on the market but withdrawn, where the vendor doesn't want to sell anymore. These are the two best ROI you can have on your marketing money, and you can access these on Property Filter. And once you've done this, there is an off-market sort of service for the problem properties, the things we talked about, and we will add to it all the time. Is that okay?
Thank you, Guillaume. Let's go then to Felix. Hello, Felix. What was your question?
Hi, I would like to ask about competition of going to auctions and competition of finding properties on Property Filter. Because when I heard or I listened to what Simon said it's better to find off-market properties than to go to the auctions. So when I look at this Property Filter, there will be too many investors looking the property in the same area. So this competition is not the same like the one of going to auctions. That's what I would need to understand, what different it is about competition.
Okay, so there is no traffic jam on the extra mile. So the reality is that, so we've got 700 people on the platform right now, and it's doubled basically since the beginning of the year. And what's going to happen is that my assumption is that at some point there will be competition, and what we will do is the service you have right now with Property Filter, when people sign up in 1 month and in 3 months and etc., they'll get less and less area. So that's the reality. So as we grow, people will get access to less. When you sign up now, basically you maintain the best of Property Filter all the time. You got your grandfather's rights and etc. So basically, whatever we add to it, you maintain your features and you've got access to all the best of all the features right now. And the reality is that as we get more people and we see signs of competition, we will restrict the number of things people can do for the newcomers in the future. So now we are quite in the early stage. So I guess, lock in your grandfather's right, go on to this so you always get the best of Property Filter right now. And now the second thing is what I said first, actually, is there is no traffic jam on the extra mile. And sadly, you want to be the one who take the most actions, and not being, on those people that have a look at things and don't do anything with it. And we've not had any problem like that, because people want different things. Even in the same place, people look for different deals and things like that. So we've never had a competition or thing like that. But also long term, what we see is that it's a problem. It's a problem if it occurs. You can just let us know, and we'll have a look into it. But today, it's quite unlikely you'll have an issue like that, because there's no traffic jam on the extra mile basically. So go on the extra mile, and I promise you, there's very few of you that are there and hammering their area. Is that okay?
Ian, can I also make
great.
a comment here as well, please, if that's okay? Not sure if you can hear me there, Andy. Can you hear me?
Can, Simon. Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we've got you.
And so, so Felix, one thing you need to understand is, whilst there are other people obviously looking at Rightmove and Zoopla, where Property Filter is taking its information from, they're looking at all the properties. The whole point about Property Filter, it's filtering out the ones that are maybe not so good, and it's helping us find the ones where the circumstance of the seller is that they might well be motivated. So that's the whole point. It's helping us find, because remember, out of all the points of sale, at least 5% of the sellers are motivated. This helps us locate those people much quicker and saves you a lot of time. So there might be other people that are contacting the owners of these properties as well. There is some competition, of course, but what we're going to teach you tomorrow is what you want to say to the people so they want to work with you as opposed to working with someone else. I'm not quite sure where the auction things come in. I wouldn't recommend going to auctions personally, because again, people put properties in auctions because they want to sell them quickly. Sometimes there might be something wrong with them, and they bank on the fact that lots of people come in, they see a cheap property, they get excited, and they overbid and end up paying more than the property's worth. And there's no way of working out what the circumstances of the seller are, which you do get by looking at Property Fuel. So hopefully that answers the question. So yes, we can do the off-market things, some of the things we talked about. And I'm not sure if you were here in the beginning, Felix, before the first break, when I talked about we can look for landlords advertising their properties that they're struggling with. We can speak to letting, all those things I talked about earlier on today. That's off-market. This is just looking for properties that are on the market. Anyone could see them, but most people can't see them. They're hidden in plain sight. And what Property Filter does, it unveils these properties and presents them to you in the best way. And the other thing you also need to understand is the reason you want to be continually subscribed to Property Filter is because if you look today, it's a snapshot of properties available today. Whereas next week, next month, a property that has been sold might well fall through and comes back on the market. Or a landlord who's been trying to sell a property, it's not been sold. He thinks, you know what, actually, I might rent it now. So we can look for properties that are for rent and for sale. It's not there now, but it will be there next month. So this is why you need to continue with the subscription, and the investment, it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. You know, if you find one deal, that's probably paid for your membership for many, many years. So that's all I really want to say. I hope that clears up for you, Felix.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Simon. And one of the things that Guillaume will go on to explain a little bit later on is about the Property Filter pipeline. Properties that are currently on the market, maybe you've sort of got your eye on them, maybe they fall off the market and they're no longer with the estate agent. There is a great way you still got access to find out information about that property, which we'll come to in just a few moments. Just some very quick questions. I know you've got some more content you want to go through, Guillaume. One is about further ongoing training, maybe even one-to-one training. How can people sort of learn a little bit more about Property Filter over time?
Yeah, is it okay if we share my laptop screen for a second? Yep, so in there basically, so as you are signed up, you can go, and we've highlighted in yellow, bright yellow, so you can, gold, so you can come and have a look at it. You've got what's called here our success base, and in there you've got a family of tutorial videos covering every aspect of Property Filter, what I'm going to go through today in a lot of detail as well. We've got our fast track course here, which takes you from unboxing Property Filter all the way to following up on your first deal, how to set up your strategies and things like that, and quite a few other things. And then we're getting recording our guest speakers and things like that. So in there, there's so if you're a deal sourcer, I recommend you look at this recording we did with Toby, where you find 31 deals in 10 months, and how does he use Property Filter to do that. So that's in terms of content and things you've got available. And then you've got orientation calls, so which are little group calls, 3 to 8 people, and they happen every day. We run 10 to 15 of these calls a week. So if I look at the cohort of the people who are starting out, and I look at next week, for example, so I've got 3 calls next Monday, 1 call on Tuesday, 2 calls next Wednesday, 2 calls on Thursday, but 1 call on Friday. So that's quite a bit. And when I said earlier in the introduction that it's unmatched support, like by a factor, 1,000, you can speak to a human every day basically on this. Then you got access to me. It's quite rare that you'll get access to the CEO and founder of a startup to speak, give your feedback, share your successes once a week. And we go live into, it's not a webinar where like a one-way thing, it's a call, and you put your questions in and you speak to me every day. If you are a reader learner, you've got there's a whole knowledge base, which is like a Wikipedia basically of Property Filter. You can read through all the concepts in there of every sort of aspects. And then you've got access to a private Facebook group we just launched yesterday, a couple of days ago. And then in between those calls, you can always contact us on WhatsApp or on this support email. We are building, as we speak, the guys are building an in-app chat box, so you can speak to the team anytime. So we go above and beyond, anything in terms of support. And then if you are into, if you want done it with you kind of service, as a more extra. So there are some add-ons. Basically, you can. This comes at a cost, but we can have some time one-to-one with people on the team. Is that okay?
It is great. And I think this leads us very nicely then into the rest of your content, Guillaume, because lots of people are asking about the various strategies and how you set them up, such as assisted sales or houses being repossessed, those kinds of things. Talk us through how we set up then the back end of Property Filter.
Yeah, so am I okay going into the content?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, so this morning we talked about the lead generation, and I really wanted to explain and hit home, you know, like the cost of finding deals and how you can mitigate that and be on top of your market, really, thanks to the technology we've built here for you. Can we move to the main slides? There we go. There we go. So what we'll do, and then this afternoon I've got a bit about how do you convert all the good leads we talked about this morning into great deals. I'll go through this bit of content, which is like the next step. Once you've generated the leads, how do you convert them, the follow-up system and all that. And then as I jump back into Property Filter, I'll spend more time back on the lead generation, back on how do you set these things up so you can do it for you. And then I'll show you the pipeline and the follow-up as well. So just in terms, so this is another bit where I've got a question for you. So this is the second part about how do we convert all these good leads into great deals. And could you share, you know, like what's the hardest part, you know, in finding the deals? What for you is the most challenging and the hardest part, you know, to find the deals, you know, find the opportunity or, you know, make the deal, you know, close the deal?
So if you want to put it in the chat box, then what are you finding the hardest part about finding deal? And I'll read some of them out to Guillaume. Just post them inside of the chat box. And I'll spot
it's really moving around into these conversions, you know, like this follow-up and we've seen people can get a bit overwhelmed and disorganized, and that's one of the common things we've seen.
So first of all, choosing the strategies, what Thomas is saying, understanding what strategies work best in which locations, in other words, your gold mine area. Also deciding on the location.
Okay, that's great. So we'll cover that in the demo. So maybe I think it would have been good if I should have spent more time maybe finishing this part about lead generation, because a lot of the questions are still in the setup. So I'll come back to that and I'll show you everything about gold mine area and finding the place to invest. So if we think of you know, like the deal sourcing, or you know, if we think of our investment strategy, the first skill you need as an investor is you need to excel at finding deals. You know, if you can't find deals in a very predictable way as an investor or as a never mind as a sourcer, you know, it's a non-starter, quite frankly. So it's really like the sort of high-level principles around having a deal machine, you know, that works for you. And it's going back to this idea of you want to build a business, you know, and a business will be made of the systems and the people manning the systems. You know, you don't want to be hands-on and on the tools to do everything. And Simon says it all the time. So I've learned all of this from Simon. You know, again, if you come on the Mastermind Accelerator, you know, they will show you all the bits, all the strings how to do that. But the deals are in the follow-up, you know, and sadly, most people out there and your competition right now is not following up. You know, the status quo is that people don't put offers on every viewings they do, and then they never follow up. So you've got a big opportunity there. And why people don't follow up is that they don't have the system. They try to keep things in their head and they can't. You know, and for you to have success in property, and I guarantee you can have a very predictable success in property, you want to always have a healthy pipeline and a follow-up system. It's a bit like dating, you know, it's when you don't want them that they all come, you know. So it's the same with the deals. You want to have this healthy pipeline and this follow-up system that just occupies some headspace with the vendors, with the agents, and then the deals you'll have an endless supply of deals, I promise you, if you follow the blueprint. So a bit of a question for you. So how busy are you right now? You know, like, are you working full-time maybe? Are you trying to do property on the side, or is property already overwhelming on its own? You are full-time in property, but there's a lot. There's really something for you to ponder on, you know, like how can you make property work? And the reality is a lot of things to do, but it doesn't have to be, you know, like a sacrifice of your quality time all the time. And how good do you remember to follow up? You know, like I've tried many things myself. So you have the paper pads, you've got the Excel spreadsheets, you put things in a Trello board, you know, at best, you know, but the reality is that most people can't remember that in 16 days and in 27 days, we need to follow up on this and that deal, you know. And that's exactly the problem your competition has got right now. And it's why they are not following up on deals. So the way you're going to, like join the top 1% of those people, and start to source many deals a month, many deals a week, is really by having this business mindset with the systems in place, to do that. So again, how many deals do you want to source a month? How many deals do you want to source a week if you are getting into deal sources? And we've seen people doing once a month, once a week, and you can too with the right system. Realistically, it's quite hard, if you are already busy doing something, to remember to do the things you need to remember to do. So it's why there are systems to help with that. So some of the challenges with converting the good leads into great deals is that as a start, people waste their time viewing the wrong properties. I've tried to convey this morning that you want to really reconnect with the value of your time, because like me, you will spend 18 months of your property life missing out on deals all the time, working like a donkey, like outside of work, 20 hours plus 20 hours on properties, stacking up viewings on the Saturday, but just wasting your time on the wrong viewings because the vendor was not motivated. That's really the first thing, is to filter that, really value your time and go straight and only view properties where they are signed that the vendor is motivated and where there's going to be a good discussions to be had. And then people don't have the systems really to go after all these deals, and they are missing out on deals all the time. So they, again, the paper pile, the Excel spreadsheets, they are great when if you want to buy one house in your lifetime. But if you are here today, you want to go big. It's kind of go big or go home. You can achieve significantly in the next 12 months, the next 18 months, if you invest in it to make it work. And there will be a real difference for those people who do and those people who don't. The people who don't, usually they say they can do it all themselves, and then they get overwhelmed, and then we see them, like months and months later. So, and then that's it. Yeah. So people get overwhelmed. They are buried in the admins, and they stay busy being busy to achieve very little. And we've seen this again and again. So, and the opportunity here for you is to focus your time and your, the energy and your resources on going after the motivated sellers. And then the mindset here that will see you escape, velocity, escape the status quo of everybody out there, is the mindset, and this is the property filter blueprint of going after the right viewing, so the motivated sellers. And for every viewing, you make an offer, and then you never miss follow-up. That's in contrast with your competition that randomly scroll through Rightmove, randomly book viewings, queues at viewings because the vendor is not motivated and has got lots of demand from the cosmetic refurb crowd, basically, who's just looking at an easy property. And then therefore they don't offer on the property and they never follow up. So if you want to join the top 1% and with studied success, I can guarantee, follow, like go after the motivated sellers, and for every viewing put an offer and then never miss follow up. Like it's as simple as that, but people get overwhelmed because they don't have a simple system to do it, and then they never do it. So if you only go away from this session with one thing, is this principle. And if you use the right technology, you can take care of all the admin. So a lot of it can be automated. And when I say the right technology, of course, this is a plug for Property Filter. I'll show you exactly how it works. So the other principles for this session is that property is a numbers game. So you hear me say property is a people business and it's a numbers game. But definitely when it comes to pipeline, it's a numbers game. And of course, it's always a people business. And then the blueprint I shared with you is you want to find motivated sellers. One viewing is equal one offer, and then never miss follow-up. So that's, again, if you only remember one thing, is this Property Filter blueprint. Find motivated sellers, one viewing equals one offer, and then never miss follow-up. If you only do this and repeat, God knows how far you will have come, 12 months from now. So to build your deal machine, you need a system that converts all these good leads we talked about this morning into great deals. And again, the status quo is your competition is not doing this. So they are wasting their time scrolling on the portals, viewing properties that don't need viewing, missing out on deals all the time. Therefore, they don't put offers and then they don't follow up. The way you'll join the top 1% is by following this blueprint. And I'm sorry if I repeat, but it really needs to hit home. Only view properties from motivated sellers we identify with Property Filter. One viewing equals one offer, and then you never miss follow-up. And then I guarantee you'll get success and traction like nobody else. And so the way this works in Property Filter is when you save a lead to your pipeline, on or off market from the lead generator, property filter lead generator, or from other sources and letters, you know, phone calls you receive from other things. There are 4 stages in the property filter pipeline. So first one is what we call do due diligence. And by this, I don't mean fall into analysis paralysis and try to make this one deal work. You want to live into this abundance mindset where you'll have a lot of really hot qualified leads. And the due diligence stage is the idea here is really to ascertain, is this going to be worth your time to go on a viewing or not? And then it's hell yes or hell no. You commit or we delete. So we commit to go on a viewing, and then when we commit, 1 viewing equals 1 offer, and we never miss a follow-up. So you'll see when I move into property filter in a second, the pipeline is made so that every step of the pipeline is an action to take. So when someone was asking what's the difference between property filter and other tools out there, so it's a blueprint, it's a framework, it's an action and result driven framework that allows you to focus your time, energy, and resources on the handful of action you need to do. And you know what you need to do, you know where you're done. And this is why we get more traction, or, you know, like case studies of success than any other, you know, property data related, data related tools for property than anybody else, because people follow the blueprint. And I'm just repeating the same thing so that it makes it really clear. And then success in property becomes very predictable. So we ascertain what we want to, the hell yes property, we commit, and for every viewing, we make an offer. All along this process, we want to build rapport with the agents, build rapport with the vendor. So a few tips for you at viewings. So I use the principle, it's called distribution of focus, where I spend 70% of my time on something. So I'll just draw this for you. Some of you might have seen this before. So this is distribution of focus with 70%, 20%, and 10%. So at a viewing, I spend 10% of the time talking, you know, assessing the property. So how many, you know, what's the skirting boards need replacing? Is the boiler need replacing? How many windows? And this and that. What is it about the property? 20% is about the circumstance of the vendor. You know, what's the urgency? Are they moving abroad? Are they divorcing? Did someone pass away? What's the situation and what's the urgency? And really understanding where is it they are and where is it they want to go? What log have they got jammed in their life because of their property problem? And how can we help them solve this problem? So that's really investigating and understanding what is it that they need here. And then 70% is talking about the cats and the pictures on the wall. So oh, I'm French. I've been French too. Football, anything that you find commonality and build rapport with them. So a bit of a side kind of note on how I try to go about my viewings. So 10% of my time on viewings with vendors is about the property, 20% about the situation, and most of the time is really about building rapport so that they only want to sell to me. And it's happened to me a few times. So I've had lower offer accepted because people like me and they only want to sell to me. And if a French guy can do it, you know, you can do it certainly. So then it's time to making an offer, and it's a very important stage because you can, and again, this is where if we go back to the triangle at the beginning, we talked about this morning about there you go. Your key to success here. This is where we help you finding the deals, but then the negotiation, the making offer is a negotiation. So it's Simon touched around this morning, and it's really where the likes of, you know, working with Simon, the pin coaches, or Mastermind Accelerator, they tell you all about this as well. So with making offers, so it's all about positioning yourself professional. It's all about positioning yourself to be proceedable. You can have multiple offers so that you can, you know, I'll help them choose one against another, etc., etc. And then the follow-up, it's where the follow-up is really where the deals are. So you don't want your offer to be accepted. You know, your first offer, if it's accepted, it means you offer too much, and the deals are in the follow-up. The deals I talked about earlier, listed at 250, 3 agents involved, dropped the price twice. We bought at 173. It was after 6-7 months of follow-up, you know. And because you have this abundance mindset and you have a healthy pipeline in property filter, you know, like it's just a numbers game, and you can roll through these things, and then the deals just come on the other side. So yeah, we talked about this this morning. So where are we now? Yeah, so Simon talked about cost, like if you only get one deal, but it's even, the cost of this once after your trial is like having a VA, paying a VA for 1 hour a day. What could you get with is having Property Filter? Basically, the investment in Property Filter is the same as paying for a VA 1 hour a day. You can get a lot more, and all of this you'll get, so yeah, this endless supply of deals, endless supply of motivated seller leads, and have the machine and the blueprint to convert these good deals into great deals. So I think we're moving back into the Property Filter demo. Yeah, there we go. So can we share the tablet screen, guys? We're good? Okay, cool. So I'll take a step back and answer your questions about the lead generation, and then we'll move into the pipeline, which is the main, the pipeline and the follow-up, which is the main aspect of this session. But just about how do you set up the lead generator? So I talked about, we talked about earlier the area and strategy. So I'll just take a random area here. I was showing this to someone, actually one of the masterminders yesterday at our weekly call, and we were looking at something in Bristol for him. So when you move into the strategy, so I said there are 3 levels of details, and the first one are these templates where we can look for properties for sale as well as to rent, properties for sale for less than what they last sold. So these are just built here so that you can very quickly go and find something that match a broad criteria. So if we look for flips, for example, in this area, so this would be like low EPC properties and something like that. So let's see what we get. And then we'll refine. I'll show you the other details of the other level of details. We've got 54 properties in there, which have got basically a low EPC and some keywords around the in needs of modernization and something like that. But then if you want, so we can either go into the results and look at these like we did before, or I can show you how we can go into more details with the setting up the filters. So very quickly, you see you can use the templates to create one of the strategies very quickly, but then you can edit, and this will take you into the second level of details here with all the filters. You can either edit here, or if you want, when you create something from scratch, so I'll go back here to create a new lead generator, and then we can go into another area. So I don't know, we can go in leads, for example. Just I don't know, just take a random different area. So in LS1, for example, LS11, let's take a few postcodes in South Leeds, for example, and then we move into the strategy. So again, you've got the templates, but you can ignore the template here. No templates, build your own. And this also takes you into this view here, which is the second level of details. And this is where you can set up things like looking for properties, residential properties or commercial properties. You can look for properties for sale, to rent, or for sale as well as to rent. So you can select this like that. So blue is selected. Here you can exclude bungalows, flats, others, etc. You've got a price range, bedroom range. So these are things we can do. We can exclude leasehold, shared ownership if we want. We can exclude new builds, retirement homes, care homes, listed buildings. We can exclude auctions. So these are what we call the basics, the basic filters, and they are quite simple. And then as you get more confident, you can go into the advanced filter. So let's say if we look for some buy-to-let for investors. So if this is a sourcing course. So if you want to source for investors, usually they look for 2 3-bed houses and up to a certain price point. So we'll just do something like that. And let's give it a name. So this will be investor deals, for example. And again, all of these, we set and forget our criteria. Long gone are the days where you open a Rightmove tab, you type some search, then you override it with something else, and you open another tab. So it's a set and forget system. So the system will, it's like a safe search, if you like, but which is empowered by the machine, that just updates the inbox, while you sleep. So if I look at this one, we've got 172 results. We move into the inbox. and this is what it looks like. So again, 172 available. First port of call will be those properties that are back and reduced. We work our way through this and that, etc. But if we want to be a bit more niche, if we've got more advanced criteria, this is where we can go and again edit, or as you get more. I go into a lot of details here, but take your time when you do it on yourself. I recommend first try things with just the template strategy. Then you can look at changing things like the price and the bedroom count in the high level sort of criteria here. And then here there's a little toggle button for the advanced filters. And this is where it gets very interesting, but again, more advanced. So don't worry, you don't need to understand, to play with this right away. But I'm showing it to you so you're on what is there. So this is where you can look at things like, one thing I would say with this is you don't want to be too restrictive. By all means, you don't want to fill every box, because the system will not find a 6-bed freehold flat, if you like. So this is an extreme example, but if you look for a three bathroom, 4-bed properties with short lease and an EPC or F or G, it's very unlikely it will find something. So just be mindful when you put the filters, is not to over specify thing. And by all means, keep it simple. You don't need to put everything around. I'm just showing you this because so like the advanced you use. But yeah, keep it simple. So you can put here your bathroom counts. So if you're into your HMOs conversions, you can look at I want a 3-bed with 2 reception rooms, for example. That works quite well. Or I want a 3-bed property that is 100 square meter plus. So the way this works is we figure out the full address of the property, we figure out the square meterage of the property, so that when you look for a property, you can exclude the small ones, So I do HMO conversions. So all my lead generators, basically, I don't want to see any properties which is less than 100 square meter. It's something I can put here. You can search by EPCs, and it's how we find, like the flips for properties, because we look at the very low EPCs or the unknown ones. Difference since the last sold. So this is what you have in your template around what we call negative equity. So a property for sale right now for less than what they last sold will be in there. We've digitalized all the Article 4 areas, so you can look for existing HMOs inside Article 4 areas, or basically 3-bed houses or 4-bed houses outside of Article 4 areas. It's how I found one of my latest deals, which is a 7-bed HMO now, where the garden touches an Article 4 area, and I could get planning because the fallback was 6, and I was just asking for 1 more bedroom, and it worked out really well. You can look for properties that are owned by companies, and you'll see you can have link directly to the company's house of a certain lease length. So if you are looking for leasehold properties for investors, you can look for long leases, or if you want to buy for yourself, add value, what I call the buy, don't refurb, refinance. So that's the short lease strategy, which works quite well. So you can look for anything with less than 60 years on the lease, or less than 80 years, etc. You can look for specific agents. So for your rent-to-rent, you can look for all the open rent listings, and quite a few things indeed. Then you can play with the amenities, distance to stations, universities, hospitals, and things like that. And finally, you got quite a bit of keywords, so you can decide to include, exclude, show only certain things. So the principle with this, and this is really important, it's called property filter, not property finder. So you want to use the filter, the filters and the keywords to exclude, to filter out the stuff you don't want to see, rather than asking for specific things, because it uses an algorithm that reads all of the internet. Basically, you do rely on the agents to call a cat, and a lot of the time they don't. So use it to exclude the stuff you don't want, and then we can see things in the sort of inbox. So on this one, for example, if we look for if we're going to look for a property that is ready to let for an investor, we might look for properties that have got a EPC or ABC, or you can push it to D sometime as well. And in the keywords, we could say, there's lots of things you can do, like a cash buyer, invest, unmodernized, repossessed, and things like that. We can use if you want to be more niche. But let's look at this one here. So that's really how you set it up. So you can play with the different strategies. So you'll have your properties for sale and to rent, properties in negative equity. They are great for lease options. You can look for your HMO development. All these things are in there. And it's the same. I can repeat the same thing again for every strategy if you like. But in the success base that I showed you before, there are some tutorials for every strategy. And so you can go through how do you find existing HMOs, how do you find properties for sale and lease options, for sale and to rent or negative equity. All of these are in there. So have a look at these. And it works for commercial as well. So if you are into commercial to resi, so one of the case studies we have was Dino, so the winner of the mastermind program last year, and Manchester Pinhurst. He found 3 commercial to resi deals on this sort of last summer, and he's putting all his money out of his deal. So that's kind of the idea with the lead generator. And again, so you can create up to 20 of these, but I would say keep it simple. At the introduction this morning, I said you want to be niche, like less is more. You want to focus on a few areas, like 5 postcodes, and really hammer the hell out of this area. All the motivated sellers in the area, be known for being the property problem solver and go after these. So I will say one more thing actually on this. So let's look at the results of the one we just set up just now. And so these are ready to let 2 to 3 bed properties that might be interesting for investors. And so amongst the available properties, first port of call are going to be these that are for sale as well as to rent. So let's go and we can show the details. All right, so this is with 2 different agents. There's a history of this, the price coming down quite a bit, quite a lot actually. So it's quite interesting. So yeah, we probably want to work on these. So with the lead generators, there's 3 steps. So one is we set and forget our criteria. That's what I've showed you, like when we set up these blue machines, that go out and find deals for you. The next one is we go straight to the motivated sellers. So in the leads inbox where we are now, we go straight to the motivated seller banner, back and reduce, sold subject contracts since a long time, all these things here. If you only do one thing, focus on these. And again, if you only do one thing this week, look at these 13 deals here, 13 leads here, where been back on the market, reduced, there's a story to be found, figure out what's the story. And the chances are there'll be some deals here. And then the last aspect, and it's really where you get your time back with Property Filter, is moving away from a place where today you'll go on Rightmove, scroll through pages and pages of properties, and chances are when you go back tomorrow, you'll scroll through pages and pages of the same properties. But the reality is that you'll see the same thing again, and the reality is that when you see something, it's either you like it or you don't. So why can't we take a decision on it? And this morning I talked about why Rightmove is built like Rightmove, because they want us to spend a lot of time on it. But for us, really it's a waste of time. So it's either we like it or we don't. So based on what we've seen, we can say, let's say if we go and look at this property, for example, looks interesting. So this is the full address. This is the price per square meter, 78 square meter, been reduced, back on the market, looks interesting. I look into it. There's a nice price reduction in there. That looks good. So what we can say here is, okay, hell yes, I want to save this to my pipeline. I'm going to work on it. This one, let's say we are interested in, say, okay, hell yes, I want to work on it. Or this one, let's say your investor has got a criteria where they only buy properties with a drive. So we can say, okay, hell no, no matter the price, I'm never going to buy this again. So hell yes, save to pipeline. Hell no, never show it to me again. And you see, you shrink your inbox like this. You take a decision on every lead to a point where you've got, a tidy inbox. Think of it like your email inbox, where you've got emails that comes in and you can convert this into a workflow, into a task. So you save to your pipeline, and the pipeline is where you're going to convert it into a deal. Or you just bin it, so you just archive it, like in your email. So it's the same thing here. And then tomorrow, when new properties become available or back on the market, the system will remember what you've saved, what you've disregarded, so that you only see the new stuff. So whilst your competition is scrolling through pages and pages of Rightmove, at page 4 of Rightmove, wondering if they should go and have a look at Zoopla as well, with a few minutes of your time, you are at the bottom of Rightmove, Zoopla, On the Market, Prime Location, Open Rent, all of these and quite a few others portals. It took you a few minutes of your time. So you really have this exhaustive view on your market, exhaustive view on your area. You know everything that was, everything that is for sale, and it takes you just a few minutes of your time again. So this is where you separate yourself from the masses, because you buy back your time, very, very effectively just now. That's really important. And so I would recommend inside each lead generator is a leads inbox. Take a decision on every leads. hell yes, saves to the pipeline is where you work, hell no, never show again, and then just hide it. And that's really how you convert the try with this, because then property filter becomes it's not another thing to do. It's really like just giving you back all your time. And where all your competition, and if we go back to this 70-20-10 thing here, where your competition is spending 70% of their time on Rightmove, so that's your competition there. They're spending 70% of their time on Rightmove. They spend 20% of their time on trying to make the deal work, like in the due diligence, and then 10% in viewing plus offer plus follow-up, And the reality is that nothing happens here. So you want to flip this around, where you spend 10% of your time on property filter, if not less. Like I guarantee you, we've got some very, very successful members. They spend a few minutes a day on this, so that you can spend 20% of your time in the what's the next one, in the pipeline, and 70% on building rapport, and making deals. So remember, it's a people's business, and the deals happen outside of the buildings. Again, behind property filter, there's the biggest, best database. I could be the data guy, but I guarantee you it's not how property works. So we want to free your time so that you move away from this procrastinating status quo, and you spend more time outside of the building, doing deals with agents, doing deals with sellers. So that's really the principle here about the lead generation. So I'll move to the pipeline. So if the lead generation was the place where we get our leads inbox, where the motivated sellers are identified, the pipeline is where we work. And as you start with property filter, you spend initially more time setting up the lead generators and getting your leads. But then as you start to stay on top of your area, taking a decision on every lead, you will spend a lot more time in the pipeline. This is where the deals are happening. It's where you convert all these good deals into great deals. And look at the pipeline. Every step of the pipeline is a verb. Every step of the pipeline is an action to take. Okay, so it's all about what do we need to do right now, and what is the next step. It's all about the next step. So every step of the pipeline is an action to take, and it's all about doing the necessary action to convert all these good deals into great deals. So first, we've got what we call due diligence. And by due diligence, I don't mean fall into analysis paralysis, try to make this one deal we were looking at work. So I'll tell you a bit of a story. So when I first started in my first 18 months of achieving nothing, basically I would spend 3 months trying to make one deal work, and I know it's a lot of people struggle with that. I didn't have this abundance mindset, and to be fair, I was lazy. I was lazy because I didn't understand the principles. I didn't know what I know now. And you want really to have a healthy pipeline. You want to be looking for deals all the time. And again, it's like dating. You want to have a pipeline of deals all the time, because they will come to you when you don't need them. So the best time to look for deals is when you don't need them. So just go and fill your pipeline all the time. So in the due diligence stage, what we call due diligence stage in property filter, we mean by that we want to ascertain, is this going to be worth our time to go on a viewing or not? So we clear the inbox in the lead generator very quickly. Okay, yes, no, yes, no. We just clear our inbox, and the pipeline is where we work. So the first stage of the pipeline is where we spend a bit more time on the lead, and then we might say, okay, let's look at the picture. How likely is this that we can do something with that? What's the history here? Okay, so they dropped the price. They had a sell fall through. So they put it on the market in December. They had a sell fall through end of January. Came back on the market beginning of March, and they dropped the price just a little bit. How is that going to work for my investors? So this is a time where we can stack the deal initially. So we've got a deal calculator here at the bottom of your property detail view, and here we've got a few templates for every strategy. So you can stack your deal as a buy-to-let, for single-let or HMOs, buy, refer, refinance for single-let or HMOs, buy to SA, buy, refer, refinance to an SA. If you want to do a flip, rent to rent, rent to SA, lease options, you got in there as well. So let's say this is a ready to let kind of property, and we want to source this to one of our investors. So you can just use one of the templates here. So generic buy to let, and we can call this exit 1 or option 1. For example, just an example, you can call it whatever you want. And then in there, so what happens if we buy this deal at asking price? So 155, we're going to put 25% deposit. This is going to be our loan fee, a bit of conveyancing. Are we sourcing this to an overseas investor? So they might have, non-UK resident stamp duty, so you can put in here. Then we have your loan fees, a bit of a refurbishment cost if you have or not. What's going to be the average rent? So I'll show you how we figure out the average rent in a sec. Let's leave this for now. Mortgage, interest, it's going to be that much, etc. So okay, interesting. So we know, like, and you'll see on Sunday, I think there's a piece of content about what investor wants in terms of deal location and yield and stuff like that. So we've got something here with like a 6% yield. So it's a bit low, it's not really what we would want. So what would it need to be for us to package it to an investor? So we can duplicate this. We can call this exit 2. So it pulls out the same deal calculator. We can tweak things, and then we say, okay, what happens if I buy it for 145, for example, 145,000? Then same criteria all the way, and then side by side I can see, okay, exit 1, exit 2, and now I've got a yield which is a lot closer to what my investor would want. So that would work at that price. How do we look at like rental comparables? How much is this worth? So we've got a little we've got a comparable menu here that you can also pull out from your property detail view here. So I'll click here. And this will pull all the comparable properties in your exact postcode, or we can go into a postcode sector, or you can go into within a quarter of a mile, or something like that. And we can look for things here. So what we can do to make sure this is really comparable, we can look at what's the EPC. So this is an EPC-D. So we want to exclude all the others. We want to really look at only the comparable properties. And this is, I believe, a 2-bed. So we can put in here there's a bedroom range here. Yeah, 2 bedrooms. So we just want to see like 2 beds. We want to exclude auctions. And this is a freehold, so we don't want to see anything else. Freehold property, get rid of anything else. And then we don't want to see bungalows. We don't want to see flats. We just want to keep houses, for example. So sorry, I've zoomed in here so you can see properly. So the display is a bit funny, but yeah, it will look a lot better at home for you. So let's see what we have here. Let's see. So within a quarter of a mile, it will pull out everything that is currently available on the market, anything that's recently sold subject to contract, recently withdrawn. We've got the land registry data, and we can look at the rentals as well. So we see that the average sort of available side. So this is sort of the average value, the average size, the average price per square meter. We've only got 2 in here, so we probably want to extend a little bit the radius as well to add a couple more properties and see a few other things. So there we go. So this is where you can see different values. So average price 143, average surface is this, average price per square foot is that. So this gives us an idea of what's currently available. And if we look at recently sold subject to contract, we've got something like that, which again, a bit of a different price, but similar price per square meter. So it confirms a bit where we are. And then as we go back in time, we can see also what's been recently sold or withdrawn, all the way down to looking at land registry data here. So it's kind of the idea here. And then we can look in the same way at rentals. So it seems like there's no available comparables right now, but recently this rented at 850. We could extend the radius a little bit. We could extend the EPC a little bit as well to have a bit more, but I'll keep this 850 here. So then when I go back into my deal calculator here, I can just inform my 850 as a rental and then see what happens. That was one of the exits. And then if I go and edit this one, put this here. I could have done the comparables before, to be fair. So we've got here something that would be quite good for an investor. So you'll see on Sunday, what when Chris comes and explains you about what investor wants on his platform. The 7% yield, this sells to a cash buyer, all day long. So as a sourcer, that's good enough. So all we need to do is secure this as all we need to do. Secure it at 145. They seem to have a bit of an issue to sell. We can, let's see what we can do. So this is what I would do at this stage in the due diligence. Stack it a first time, ascertain, is this worth my time or not? And if yes, I push it to the next stage. If not, I just archive it. I will hide it, never show again. You see here, so you can either archive until next change. So if it's reduced, it will come back, or hide it, and never show again. So on this case, on the hell yes, hell no spectrum, which is very binary spectrum we have, I will go hell yes, let's move it to the next stage and organize the viewing. And this is where your pipeline here turns into a very, very simple and very cool CRM for deals. And I'll show you exactly how it works. So we've got the little pop-up that come here. And this is where, if you're anything like me, you would have lots of notes everywhere from, a note here, a note on the phone, voice notes on the WhatsApp group, or all sorts of things. This is going to be your one place of truth where the curve, the graph follows the life of the market. And here, this place here will date stamp all your interaction with the property, all your notes in one place. And I encourage you to note people's names and put anything that's going to be worth something to you when you follow up. So this is where we might say, okay, I spoke with Sarah, the agent, and she told us blah 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 blah, lots of interesting information about the property, and we agreed to view the property tomorrow. Like this Saturday or whenever at 10 a.m. That's just an idea. And you see, you progress your deal. Progress to the next stage. Now that we've organized the viewing, the next action will be to make an offer. And it could be that we want to add actions and notes and things like that. So we might say, okay, needs new carpets, new kitchens, or whatever notes you've got from your viewing. But I would say, again, keep this in mind. 10% of the time on your focus on the property, 20% on the situation, 70% on the rapport. So anything that helps you building rapport when you follow up on this in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, you'll put it in there. So I would say with this, you can go as much or as little into the details as you want, but really you want to put enough high-value stuff in there so that when this deal sells to someone else tomorrow and falls through in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, you've got everything here. You can call people by their names. You can relate to a conversations you had 3 months ago, and you can do this at scale. And nobody can do that, And this is where it really empowers you for the follow-up. The deals are in the follow-up. Property is a people business, and it's a numbers game. And this is where you can convert all of these good deals into great deals here. So yeah, new carpets, and Sarah said blah 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 blah, and then call people by their name. Like occupy some headspace. It's really, really important. So that would be like your viewing notes. And if you want, you can add links to like folders with photos and titles and other things like that. If you've got a Dropbox folder on the side, you can or like Drive, you can link it here. So yeah, so you can have everything accessible here. And then when it's come to time to make an offer, you can just log, like that you've made the offer. So spoke. So we'll just quick through. So spoke with John. This time made my offer via email. Made my offer over the phone. He didn't quite like it, or whatever it is. And like Simon said, every offer you want to have your solicitors detailed, your decision in principle, all the things Simon talked about this morning. This is the time where you execute, and then here you just log that you've done it. Talk to John, blah blah blah, and made my offer. We offered 145. If this wants to move, yeah, okay. We offered 145 on that day. And you see here on the left, all your notes here start to, date stamp all your notes. Spoke with John. We talked about lots of really interesting information. Spoke with Sarah on that date, etc. And again, you can go as much or as little into the detail, but the value of this is when you follow up, and then in 3 months' time, when the deals fall, this sell with someone else falls through, you can go back, speak with John, speak with Sarah, say, hey, it's me, French accent, funny guy. We talked about this property in April, what's happening? I see this is back on the market. And then if you remember back in April, we talked about this, and that. So you call people by the names. You've got very relatable, you can relate to conversations they had and say, oh yeah, I remember. And then all of a sudden you are the most professional person in town. And you just build rapport. You occupy some headspace, with them. So that works really, really. And we've built this in there because we know it works. Like we've studied success, and this is what we need to do to get it done. So we put our offer in, and then the next step will be to follow up. So this is where we might say, okay, great. I just put my offer in, so I'll follow up with them in 3 days. So when I click on follow up, and then choose when do I next check up, I might check up with them in 3 days. And this deal has now moved all the way across here to the follow-up stage, which is the last stage of the pipeline. And this is where I've got all my properties in there that I'm working on right now and following up. So you see, the hardest thing is to keep things simple. So I used to have, in my 18 months of achieving nothing, the horrible property spreadsheets. So if you ever find yourself copy-pasting Rightmove links in a spreadsheet, copy-pasting Rightmove links in a Trello board, copy-pasting Rightmove links in Podio or in any sort of CRM system, you are creating yourself like just a burden of admin, because sadly, there is no tool out there that is live with the market. So every time you add something to any form of follow-up system, you are enslaved by having to click on the Rightmove link and update your system. And the more deals you follow up, and the deals are in the follow-up, so you need to follow up, the more admin burden you create for yourself. And I was there myself, so I used to lie to myself. I would confuse activity and progress. So I would be very busy. I would be this busy fool on the Monday evening and Thursday evening. I would have like an hour and a half session where I would just open every Rightmove link, update my horrible property spreadsheet. By the time it's done, it's already out of date, and it's never done properly. So then I started to pay a VA to do this for me. So 200, 300 pounds a month just to keep the spreadsheet going. And it just never ends, and then there's no guarantee that it's up to date. It's just a nightmare. So in contrast, all of this is live with the market. It's the only CRM system out there which is live with the market. So you'll note it's quite colorful. So green is available. You've got amber is all subject to contract. You'll have some reds here. So this has been withdrawn 2 days ago. So this is all live with the market. The price is the price, the reduction is the reduction, and all of this is live with the market. So when I told you you could buy back your time, at the beginning by having the right system, this is really what I meant. And you will see as you get into Property Filter, you spend a lot of time at the beginning generating the leads, and it's fun. And then very, very quickly, as you stay on top of your inbox, you take a decision on every lead. You move from here to there, and you spend more time actually doing deals. And it's just wired as a blueprint, and I guarantee you success. If you follow this blueprint, I guarantee you the endless supply of deals for your investor, for yourself. So one sort of more aspect here. So we talked about, and I'm going to go slightly off track on this, a bit of a side comment. So we talked about off market before, and when you, and some of you will know what I'm talking about. So you'll have the horrible property spreadsheet with the Rightmove link. And then when you click on the Rightmove link, nothing is there. So right now, your competition is clicking on their horrible property spreadsheets, clicking on some Rightmove links, and then the link is broken. There is no property on the other side. And a lot of the time, and what people do then is that, okay, it's gone. So they delete the line and they move on to the next one. But a lot of the time, it doesn't mean that these properties have sold. So this one, for example, so in Property Filter, so actually I've got 2 examples here. Withdrawn yesterday, withdrawn 2 days ago. So what happened to these is that the property has been on the market for a while. So in this case, the sale has fallen through. They reduced the price. And then on the 25th of April, they decided that, they didn't want to sell anymore. So you speak to the agent so remember, your competition doesn't see this property because the Rightmove link is dead. So it's not on the internet anymore. It's only here on Property Filter. So you and only you can speak to the agent because you and only you have got this in the system. Other people don't have any of this data anymore. You can speak with the agent, and a lot of the time they will tell you, oh, well, yeah, they don't want to sell anymore. Oh, okay, that's interesting. they don't want to sell anymore with you because I can see here that the mass market can't solve their problem. So what creative strategy can we, that we've learned, with Simon, with Andy, could we use to help this vendor create a win-win-win solution where we have a deal for ourselves, a deal for the investor, and a deal that works for the vendor. And you see, you've got the full address here, so there's nothing preventing you from knocking on the door. Or if you remember the sole subject contract since a long time, mail campaigns, post campaign we did earlier this morning. So we can do the same with this. We can have similar kind of letter campaigns we send to these guys. And let's see if we've got another one. What's the story? Was it this one? Yeah, this one's came off the market just yesterday. Again, sale fallen through for a while, been removed, been put back, been reduced. So you want to go on. Nobody's going to speak at this guy. This is the true direct to vendor, and you've got every day there's more and more and more of these. So as you follow up with these, you can really bag some really cool deals. So that's really that's really the principle here. And the really cool thing about the pipeline and what we see are more senior, more advanced and experienced investors and sources on the platform is as their lead generator works on their own, they've taken a decision on every lead. They spend a minute a day in the lead generator part, after a while, and they spend most of their time, again, here doing deals in the pipeline. And what they find is that it frees up their time so much that they can start to get money by selling these deals. They can start to go into the like the paid marketing we talked about this morning. Remember, we want to maximize all our organic reach, like all the low-hanging fruits of the organic marketing we talked about. That's the left part, and then on the right part we had the paid marketing. So we can now diversify and tap into the 20% more deals they can find. But then they still bring back all their deals into the Property Filter pipeline because you can leverage the database to give you a lot of information automatically. So when you are in the pipeline here, you can add an off-market property, and I'll just take a random one. So I've got a property B66 4AR. So that's just let's say the phone rings. Let's say the phone rings with a vendor on the phone. You say, hey, this is Bob. I got your letter. I say, oh, thank you very much, Bob. Could you remind me what was the postcode of the property? Oh, that was such and such postcode. Okay, great. And what was the house number? I just take a random one. Okay, that was, and you've been on the phone with Bob for or Fred or whoever you want for 20 seconds. He's giving you the address, and you know what's the EPC square meterage of the property. You know what Bob paid for his property and when, and a lot of other information that comes automatically. Like what's the lease length of the property? If it's owned by a company, it will show you the details of the company just by putting the address here in the pipeline here. So yeah, and you can put all your notes here. Bob wants to sell, blah blah blah. How much Bob wants it for, etc. etc. And then you use the pipeline, and the follow-up system, so you keep in touch with Bob, etc. etc. And so soon enough, you'll have a mixture of on and off market deals all in your pipeline. And again, this is the blueprint. This is how you convert all these good leads you get and generated into great deals. I'll show you something real quick whilst we're here. So that's really the main thing, the main aspects I wanted to cover with you today is the lead generation. So how to go straight to the motivated sellers, and then how to convert all these good deals into great deals. And it's a blueprint, it's a methodology, it's a framework. And I guarantee if you follow the blueprint, you have an endless supply of deals and you'll achieve all the results you want in property. So yeah, offer on value your time, only view properties where they are sign of the vendor being motivated. For every viewing you do, offer, and then never miss follow-up. When you follow up, I guarantee you occupy some head space. Nobody follows up like you do, and that works really well. I'll show you other things with Property Filter. So we've got in the analytics here. So I said earlier, so when you get into Property Filter, you don't get a CD and that's it. We are adding to it at quite a pace. Every time I do a presentation, there's more things to it, and we just add to it every week. So one of the things, you've got all the census data built in Property Filter. So if you want to go into areas of deprivation or any kind of you know, so any kind of data around any area in the UK. You can let's have a look. Household composition, household deprivation. We can go really niche around looking for your. So we talked about gold mine area. So this is probably something you want to play. You want to play with initially. So it will tell you like all the metrics of an area against another one, and we can really go in there and look at every metric, every indicator you want. It's all built in. So basically we've built in the Office of National Statistics software within it, so you can do all of that. So something that doesn't exist anywhere else as well is if you're into HMOs, is we've digitalized all the Article 4 areas of the UK. So I thought it would take us 3 weeks, but it took us 3 months. So we've gone onto every council website in the UK. We've downloaded every Article 4 area PDF map, and we've digitalized all of it. So, and I had guys literally drawing little polygons on the computer to redraw these areas, and it's all available to you. And not only is it the current Article 4 areas, but also the proposed one. So just so you know, like in Coventry, it's coming into play into September. So get your HMOs in before, get your grandfather's right there, and you know, get a 15% uplift next year. Same thing in Dudley. So you know, all the current and proposed HMOs are in there, and so that's quite something if that's your strategy. And then again for last sold, sorry, so for gold mine area. So if you want to look at area performance, so rather than just looking at a list of properties, you've got in here a map view of every postcode sector, postcode district performance. We've got all of, I went on CV1 here for all type of houses, but you can look at only the type of houses you want, only the bungalows, only the semi-detached houses, only the flats or whatever you want. And you can look precisely how does the full postcode, I always mix district and area. So the CV1, let's say the first digits, you can see how the first digits sort of works, you know, so how many data points do we have? What's the average sold price? What's the average price per square meter? What's the distribution of price? And then you can drill down into, you know, like sub postcode area specific, and you can compare, you know, one with the next in here. So when you do your research, and again, this has all been built in so that you can take action right away. So it's not just a big table with funny looking data. It's really so that you decide, you can look at the performance of an area when you do your due diligence, or decide on your gold mine area. And we're adding to this quite a bit. So next feature. So as we continue to build, there's going to be more things out. And I've never announced this to anyone else, so I'm sharing this with you now. We're actually working on a really cool thing, which is going to be all yield based. So imagine as a deal sourcer, if you know that investors want 7% plus yield properties, you can ask Property Filter, show me all the 7% yield properties, and in just a few weeks it will. And once we release this feature, we will change the price structure. And this feature alone, we will make it as a very premium price. So we didn't decide, but something between 200 and 500 pounds a month, because it's a license for printing money if you are a deal sourcer. So if you sign up now, if you keep on becoming a member, I think the last bit on the last information on the landing page is that you lock in your grandfather's right. So any feature we add, you get access to. And as long as you remain a member, you get access to everything we built. And this is going to be a game changer for you guys sources, because it's a license to print money. So so I'm looking forward to this. And so it's a really good timing for you guys to jump in. And I look forward to seeing your results and success with that. So that's kind of all the things I wanted to share with you so far. And we can go back to the the slides. Are we back on the slides? Sorry, I should have give you a minute notice. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I guess we are just do we have time for question, or we good? Yeah.
So we have got a couple of quick questions coming out. So you talked a lot about sending out letters, and as people asking, is there a template for that letter? And others saying, do you send it out in your personal name, or do you send it out from a limited company?
So this is where you want to come and join Mastermind Accelerator. So I'm the software guy. I help you generate leads, and I point your direction on where to look and where to do that. But this is where, if I go back to the triangle at the beginning, we're finding them, negotiating them, and closing them. It's where the negotiating part and closing part, Andy and Simon are the best to help. I'll give you like like common sense kind of things when I can, but we are not an education company. We do this service for the software, so it's a better answer, a better question for you guys, I would say.